Hello, my friends. Jeremy Siskind here. I'm the author of the Solo Standards for Piano series. I'm the author of Playing Solo Jazz Piano, and I'm the author of the Jazz Piano Fundamentals series, which has 3 wonderful books, and we're going to explore a little bit of book 1 today. We're going to really explore the very beginning of book 1. So some of you might know that I had a pretty viral video with tone bass, where I judged, don't really love that word, the jazz playing of some famous classical pianists. And one of the top comments was about a demonstration on swing eighths that I did. And that comment was something like, man, that demonstration on swing eighth notes was so clear and so good, and it got 100 something likes. So I thought it was a good opportunity. Maybe some of you joined my channel, subscribed to my channel because of that video or because of that demonstration. So I thought this was a good opportunity to zero in on swing eighth notes just a little bit. And let me repeat the demonstration that I gave, which is about how classical pianists usually play swing eighth notes versus how better jazz pianists play swing eighth notes. So here's the demonstration. It goes something like this. Here's the classical pianist. Nah, I can't do it. One more time. Okay, technically correct. Da, 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 da. But not very swinging. Here's the jazz pianist. Now, before we get into talking about those details, what I'm doing in this recording or anything else, I wanted to share this thought with you, which I heard from the jazz pianist Ethan Iverson, a wonderful pianist and blogger, and the thought goes, a musician's eighth notes are between him and his God. And there's 2 things that I want you to learn from that quote. So the first one is that eighth notes are super important. They're darn near sacred in jazz, okay? The way that I play eighth notes is like my fingerprint, right? And the second thing is that it's also very personal, right? Just like your religion is something maybe nobody should necessarily ask about or inquire, push you about. Same thing with your eighth notes. So long as you've done a lot of listening, a lot of transcribing, a lot of playing along with jazz records, okay? And what I'm going to give you here is some intellectual underpinning to think about, but really it's in that experience that you're going to learn how to play an eighth note that is part of your identity. You can't think your way to eighth notes, even though I'm going to give you kind of the thinking part of it here. And just a reminder of what you should do is learn to sing along with solos, learn to play those solos and play them in time with the instrumentalist or vocalist, so that you are matching both their timing and their accentuation exactly. And then play with people better than you who have a good eighth note feel, so that you're forced to match up your eighth note with a drummer who knows more than you, a bass player who knows more than you, a saxophone player who knows more than you. All those things are going to be probably more important than the intellectual underpinnings I'm about to give you. But there are some things that we can learn, and more than anything, this might help you diagnose your eighth notes and understand what swing eighth notes are. So I'm going to page 11 of book 1, and these are kind of your basic facts about swing feel. Okay, so number 1 is that the beat goes from being divided into 2 parts generally. If we think about our usual beat in 4/4, we're usually thinking in terms of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We transform that into a 3-part beat. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. So it's as though when we play in swing, we're actually playing in 12/8, right? But we're simplifying the notation so that we don't have to read everything in 12/8. Okay, now let me say before I go on, because I have the platform to do so, that this is a vast oversimplification. This depends on tempo, it depends on style, it depends on individual, it depends even where you're from. Is it Chicago? Is it New York? Is it New Orleans? Is it Japan? So this is really an oversimplification, but it's a good place to start. It's gonna get you started well. Now, because we're dividing all the beats into 3, eighth notes can't be even, right? We cannot play eighth notes straight if we're dividing the beat. So if we have, let me back up and say that we will always want to play our eighth notes on the first and third, what we call partials of the beat. So matching the first and third triplets. So if we're thinking 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. We're rarely doing anything with that second part of the beat. When we do, one thing that we can do, I call reverse swing, which is to play the first and second partials of the beat. And it kind of is going against the grain. Let me see if I can demonstrate that for you on the spot. So it's actually really hip, but it kind of has the feeling of hitting on the brakes rather than just going smoothly ahead. And because of that, it's frequently used as a phrase ending. Okay, so that would be reverse swing. That's hitting the first and second partials of the beat. But, normally in swing, we're going to hit the first and third partials. And so if we see what's over here on the left, which should be played totally evenly in straight eighths, now we're going to basically lengthen the notes on the beat, shorten the notes off the beat. 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Again. 2, 2, 2. Now, where I see classical players really losing this is when there's rests. And we have to remember that when there's rests, we still are dividing the beat into 3 parts, and the first part of the beat is still going to take up 2 out of the 3 parts of the triplet. So we're still just on the first and third partial. So now if we see what's written on the left in the second example, we play it. You can see it feels quite different in the swing rhythm. And so that means any time that we have an offbeat anywhere, we should be able to tell whether it's straight or swung, because the offbeats are just simply placed differently. And so I like to give this little example as a brain teaser. I know I'm going back and forth between a couple different things. And so the question is, that second chord in the left hand, what note in the right hand does it fall with, assuming that we're playing in swing rhythm? Would it be in between the G and A? Would it be with the G? Would it be with the A? There's my tweaked out Jeopardy. So the answer is that it should go with the A in the first measure. Go with the third partial of that triplet. Okay, so really, even though these two hands are notated very differently, we're going to have a match between the two. All right, back to the book. And now here's where my little demonstration that I did in the tone-based video and that I just did for you, becomes important, which is that the offbeat needs to receive more weight than the note on the beat. Again, this is an oversimplification. You will hear jazz musicians playing eighth notes every which way, but the number one problem that I hear from non-jazz players is that I put too much weight on the beat. And this is a problem, and let's talk about this. This is a problem because we're already lengthening the note that's on the beat. If we also are playing it loud or louder, then we're going to be making a heavy beat. And that is not what we want in jazz. We don't want a heavy beat. That's actually a terrible thing. Terrible feel. So we want to reverse that. Will you hear jazz players doing that exactly? No, not all the time. there's a million different variables, ways to speak, ways to enunciate. But now to help you get that feeling, I use the scat syllables do, va, and this isn't something I came up with. This has been around for a long time, with do coming in on the beat and va coming in off the beat. Okay, so for any for any on-beat eighth note, you'll say do. For any off-beat eighth note, you'll say va. So as in do, va, do, va, do, va. Now, be careful as you're saying that. I've definitely taught a lot of students who go and they say, great, I've got it. Do, va, do, va, do, va. Right? The whole idea is that you're pushing air through and you're really pushing that air out on va, as though you're a wind player. Do, va, do, va, do, va. Okay? Do it with me. I can see you. Don't think I can't see you. 3, 4. Do, va, do, va, do, va. Okay, it's not exactly what's written there, but that's fine. Okay, and we want just a little more weight. It doesn't mean you're slamming the notes on the offbeat. More than anything, it actually means you're taking weight off of the notes on the beat. Let me say that again. It doesn't mean that you're slamming the notes on the offbeats. It means more than anything, you're removing a bit of weight from the notes on the beats. So, oops. I removed too much weight. If you're trying to get a better jazz feel, practicing this kind of thing very intentionally is going to help. I'll say it again, it's not the be-all, end-all answer, but it's going to point you in the right direction. Now, number 4 here, before we do maybe 1 or 2 coordination exercises, or no, I'll show you the coordination exercise, is that eighth notes should be played legato. If we have a string of consecutive eighth notes, the vast majority of the time we want to play eighth notes legato. Now, this is also very personal. You'll hear McCoy Tyner and Chick Corea play their eighth notes much more staccato and much more straight. But in general, we're imitating a horn player who would play. They're going to play without any space. And this is true even if there's eighth notes leading to another note. Let's say eighth notes leading to a half note, like in the example, or eighth notes leading to a quarter note, or eighth notes leading to a whole note. We're always going to connect after those eighth notes. Okay? So let me play these 3 examples for you. Here's the first one. Legato. Here's the second one. Hear a lot of students doing this because they're thinking so much about that do, va, do, that they just start naturally kind of connecting them. And we don't really want... The legato is really important to this. So one of the first things that I ask you to do in this book is to try this exercise. And this is a good way to practice the 3-part division of the beat, as well as focus in on the weight issue. So your left hand is just going to be used as a timekeeper in this case. Your right hand's playing the C major scale, but you're playing each note that's on the beat 2 times. So it'll sound... Right? And you probably want to take it slower than that. I realized as I was starting, I was going a little too fast for comfort. So... I'm messing up. And try not to do a big push with your arm, with your forearm, with your wrist, with your elbow. It's just a little bit of a faster finger into those notes with more weight. And then, in the bottom example, you can see now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to tie the notes, the repeated notes. So you want to still continue to hear in your head, da, 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 but now we're just going to play da, 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 da. Right? So that's one way that you can get started with this 3-part feeling through the beat. Now, there's a lot more to say about swing feel. There's less to say. There's more to hear and experience, which is how you really need to learn it. But there's a lot more scat syllables. There's a lot of other note values that we need to study. But I just wanted to talk about swing eighths today because I think that is such an important thing, particularly for those who have a classical background and are transitioning over to jazz. So obviously, if you enjoyed that video, then this book, Jazz Piano Fundamentals Book 1, is where we were largely looking, and there's a lot of practice and reinforcing in that book. So check it out. And if you have watched this whole way through, why don't you comment with the word coordination or some variant of that, because we're talking about coordination exercises. Thanks, everybody.